Welcome to the Billy Ho Forecast Show. Please subscribe and like the video. Remember, the more you share, the bigger we grow. Now, let's go! Hello there, Billy Ho here. Welcome to the DFS Picks and Pivots and Strategy Show for the Valero Texas Open. We got a pretty good amount to cover. It's a little bit of a weak field event, but we hopefully maybe can find some angles on that and get you all some 6 of 6s this week, maybe back to the regular format. So let's get her started. Okay. This week's event takes us to TPC San Antonio, Valero Texas Open. It's a Greg Norman designed course played at a par 72 and approximately 7,500 yards. It features overseeded Bermuda grass fairways and about 6,400 square feet greens, Bermuda, with overseeded POA as well. These greens run a little bit slower, about 11 on the stimp meter, and if there was to be any moisture in the air, they'd be more Velcro, but they should run average. I believe it's been pretty dry lately, so we should be good there. Required to navigate this TPC San Antonio is going to be accuracy off the tee, good wedge play, because there are 5 par 4s, 400 and under, and 3 of the 4 par 5s are 3-shot holes, meaning they are 600 yards, and it takes 3 shots for most everybody to get there. Not too many people will be going for it. Maybe if Bryson plays, he'd be one of the few that would. So that might be an advantage. You can see here on Fantasy National the birdie percentages here, and you see how the birdie or better are a lot lower at this course than they would be. Most of them we've seen 40% in that range. Of course, down here is the 1 par 5, number 14 here, that you can get there in 2. With this golf tournament being so close to the Masters, you're not really going to see a strong field, although we do have a couple of big dogs like Rory McIlroy, Hideki Matsuyama, and Bryson DeChambeau looking to get a few reps in, and the latter 2 guys are coming off injuries, so we saw a little bit of Bryson last week. The first thing that comes to mind this week for me and when building lineups is fade the 10Ks or extreme stars and scrubs, like doubling up top, because we have a lot of lower tier players that'll be in the 6s and 7s that will be in the optimal lineup, I do believe. I also think that the 2019 champ, Corey Connors, who is currently listed in the field, not likely to play since how he's going all 7 matches and he's playing 2 today. So most of the guys that lead the way here in strokes gained total are the lower tier players, either looking to get their first win on the PGA Tour or looking to get back to that past glory because they've haven't been in the winner's circle in a while. All these guys here are my course horses, and I think that's not a bad place to start your player pool, to be honest with you. Okay, my main model is running over a 3-month time period, and it's lines up like this: birdie or better, strokes gained approach, greens gained, short game, par 4s, like I mentioned, 350 to 400. I threw in extra ball striking and good drives and the par fives from 550 to 600. I think that's a good balance for this golf course. And the percentages are roughly the same, except for approach and ball striking. I really amped that up. Now, we all know Rory and Decky are the class of the field with Bryson. And honestly, last week, Bryson showed me enough to give me some confidence if he actually does decide to play this week. He was really good with the irons and his short game. He just was spraying it all over the place off the tee. So if he gets that straightened out, he's really going to take advantage of these long par fives. And you can definitely double stack, like I said, up top with as many good players as we're going to see down low. So let's get into a few of those players now. And these are the rankings in my model over the last 3 months, but I'm not going to go in any order here. I'm just going to go. So the first person I got is Keegan Bradley, showing up 8th in the model. And when I say model, I mean this particular model, last 3 months. We're going to bounce around a little bit to more recent form, like last 2 weeks and maybe last month, to get a little more, see if we can find the hot guy. So Keegan, 8th in the model, 1st in ball striking, which I really like. He's going to likely be priced fairly high, but he has yet to qualify for the Masters, so I think he's going to be really motivated to play well this week. The next guy I wanted to mention is Kirk, and he ranks 2nd in the model, and he's been playing really well this year, lights out. Excellent ball striking and number 1 in those long par fives, which we like. I think he could maybe return to that glory. He's been kind of knocking on the door a little bit for a win, and that would be nice to see. Patton Kizzire ranks 6th in the mod and 2nd in approach. He plays well in Texas, and you'll probably hear that this week. He's a hot putter who can definitely light up the DK scoreboard, so he'll be in the pool. I think also this is going to be a good bounce back week for old boy Luke List. He's down here a little bit, 14th in the model. But he went back to the old Luke List the last 3 events. He lost strokes putting, I should say. And even for List last week, he lost an astounding 7 strokes putting in just 2 days at API at the Arnold Palmer. So he hasn't played in a few weeks. But I think that's a good bounce back. Kevin Strileman is rounding into form over his last 2 events and has back-to-back top 10s here. He'll likely be pretty popular due to that course history. And he's one of the ones I mentioned. He hasn't held a trophy up in 8 years. So he's going to be highly motivated to try to take advantage of a weaker field. Now, question to you folks. If you want to put it in the comments section, that's fine with me. Are we finally seeing the real Gary Woodland? I sure hope so. Back-to-back top 10s, API and Honda, then a 22nd in Valspar, shows some consistency that we haven't seen from old Gary in a long time. And he, if you backed up to the last month of play, he would be number 1 in this model. And he has a solid course history at Valero as well, so keep an eye on him. He might be very popular. Adam Hadwin, another one, striking beautifully and ranks 7th in the mod. Another likely popular play, but he might be somebody I would eat the chalk on. Now, another guy who's likely to be chalky, Matthew Neesmith, who had the best run of his young PGA career at Valspar, finishing 3rd place with an eye-popping 8 strokes gained on approach. If he gets any of that in this field, he'll be right there again. And he did make the cut in his only appearance here last year, a middling finish in the 30s, I believe. And he ranks 10th in the model, as you can see. Really good. He's an accurate driver of the ball. and he hits a lot of greens, so he's in play. Next guy up, I wanted to mention 16th in the model, Taylor Pendrith, and 16th, like I said, and third in greens gained. Greens gained is going to be very important, especially if it gets windy. The last I checked, which is way too early to tell, it was windy early in the week next week, and then it almost dies down. So if this wind dies down, which is basically the only defense to this course, you're going to see 20 under plus. Taylor Pendrith is also a long distance hitter, so he's going to make a lot of these short par fours a bit easier on him. Now, if Adam Stinson has found any kind of putting, he might be an under the radar play this week. His ball striking has been as good as anybody in this field, and over the last 24 rounds, he is playing quite well. And you're most definitely going to need some KH Lee in your life this week. He's the TPC specialist, and you'll hear that too. He has not had his best over the last several events, but even though he hasn't really played his best because he doesn't rank very high in my model here, he's still making cuts, which if you're still managing to make cuts by hook or by crook, when you don't have your best stuff, that's good, because now you're coming to a course you're comfortable with. You like Texas. You've won in Texas. His course history here is great. He might be popular, but I'll still play because I like KH Lee, and he's got win equity. Now, the last two guys I want to mention real quick are Charlie Hoffman and Ryan Palmer. And I'm just going to go jump this to the last month, and just to show you guys what we're looking at as far as more recent form. Ranking out, see Gary Woodland hits number 1, Neesmith, Kirk still up there, Had, and Brendan Steele was another one I'll be mentioning here in a minute, because I've got another slide to show you on another special Billy Ho angle that he likes to play, and it works more often than it doesn't, in my opinion. What we want to cover is the bounce back putting. Let's go to the slide. Getting so much faster at this. Bounce back putters, and also list what they lost the last event they played. It's not necessarily last week or week before. It could have been API, and it could have been Honda. It was just the last event they played. Luke List, I mentioned earlier, who's lost strokes putting in the previous two events before this monster 7.1. My boy Charlie Hoffman, who has not been good, I admit. He's maybe finally shaken off the injury bug, hopefully, because if you remember earlier in the year, he was withdrawing steadily before each tournament started. And then he finally played, and he's been able to play, but he's been awful. And his last event, minus 7.2, but maybe he's healthy enough now because he loves this golf course. So throw recent form out the window with him as far as I'm concerned. Now, Rory Mcilroy lost 4.5 his last event, and he's looking to make some noise this week. And sometimes, I don't know, he might just be looking to get 2 rounds in. I don't know. He might be, if he plays well, he plays well. I mean, these guys compete week in and week out. It's not like he can't roll this week and then cut out and go to Augusta Monday and be, right back in the saddle. So we'll see. I wanted to mention Ricky Fowler too, because Ricky's been playing a little better this last several weeks. And I know I clown him a lot, and I usually hashtag never Ricky, but he got me through the cut. It depends on price. If they price him back up, I'm out. If he's back up in the even in the 8,000s, if he's 7,800, I'll consider him in a weak field. But if he's over 888, no thanks. But he lost 4.1 his last event, and we know he's a Okay, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Give a like, subscribe to the channel, share on social media. Let people know if you like the show. Leave in the comments section and say, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing whatever on the model. I can show you this stuff. Fantasy National, it's free advertising for them. I can show you anything you want. Give me some suggestions and we'll take a look. So until next time, peace.